Chinese dragons are legendary creatures in Chinese mythology and Chinese folklore. The dragons have many animal-like forms such as turtles, fish, and imaginary creatures, but they are most commonly depicted as snake-like with 4 legs. In yin and yang terminology, a dragon is yang and complements a yin fenghuang. Chinese dragons traditionally symbolize potent and auspicious powers, particularly control over water, rainfall, hurricane, and floods. The dragon is also a symbol of power, strength, and good luck for people who are worthy of it. With this, the Emperor of China usually used the dragon as a symbol of his imperial power and strength. In Chinese daily language, excellent and outstanding people are compared to a dragon, while incapable people with no achievements are compared with other, disesteemed creatures, such as a worm. A number of Chinese proverbs and idioms feature references to a dragon, for example, hoping one's son will become a dragon. Symbolic value. Historically, the dragon was the symbol of the Emperor of China. In the Zhou dynasty, the 5-clawed dragon was assigned to the Son of Heaven, the 4-clawed dragon to the nobles, and the 3-clawed dragon to the ministers. In the Qin dynasty, the 5-clawed foot dragon was assigned to represent the emperor while the 4-clawed and 3-clawed dragons were assigned to the commoners. The dragon in the Qing dynasty appeared on national flags. The dragon is sometimes used in the West as a national emblem of China. However, this usage within both the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China on Taiwan as the symbol of nation is not common. Instead, it is generally used as the symbol of culture. In Hong Kong, the dragon is part of the design of brand Hong Kong, a symbol used to promote Hong Kong as an international brand name. In European-influenced cultures, the dragon has aggressive, warlike connotations and it is conjectured that the Chinese government wishes to avoid using it as a symbol. Sometimes Chinese people use the term descendants of the dragon as a sign of ethnic identity, as part of a trend started in the 1970s when different Asian nationalities were looking for animal symbols for representations. The wolf was used among the Mongols, the monkey among Tibetans. In Chinese culture today, the dragon is mostly used for decorative purposes. It is a taboo to disfigure a depiction of a dragon. Regional variations across Asia. While depictions of the dragon in art and literature are consistent throughout the cultures in which it is found, there are some regional differences. The remainder of this article deals with aspects common across cultures, as well as features peculiar to cultural China. For more information on peculiarities in the depiction of the dragon in other Asian cultures, see Druk, the thunder dragon of Bhutanese mythology, Japanese dragon, Korean dragon, Naga, a Hindu or Buddhist deity often depicted as a king cobra, Yorzi South Indian or Tamil mythical creature, Vietnamese dragon, Nepalese dragon as depicted with Bhairav, dragon worship, origin. The origin of the Chinese dragon is not certain. The presence of dragons within Chinese culture dates back several thousands of years with the discovery of a dragon statue dating back to the 5th millennium BC from the Yangshao culture in Henan in 1987, and jade badges of rank in coiled form have been excavated from the Hongshan culture circa 4700–2900 BC. The coiled snake or dragon form played an important role in early Chinese culture. The character for dragon in the earliest Chinese writing has a similar coiled form, as do later jade dragon amulets from the Shang period. Ancient Chinese referred to unearthed dinosaur bones as dragon bones and documented them as such. For example, Chang Kuan 300 BC documents the discovery of dragon bones in Sichuan. The modern Chinese word for dinosaur is konglong, and villages in central China have long unearthed fossilized dragon bones for use in traditional medicines, a practice that continues today. The binomial name for a variety of dinosaur discovered in China, Meilong, in Chinese means sleeping dragon. Fossilized remains of Meilong have been found in China in a sleeping and coiled form, with the dinosaur nestling its snout beneath one of its forelimbs while encircling its tail around its entire body. Some have further suggested that the Chinese dragon form comes from stylized depictions of existing animals, such as snakes, fish, or crocodiles. A view advocated by He Xin is that the early dragon depicted a species of crocodile, specifically, Crocodilus porosus, the saltwater crocodile, which is the largest living reptile, and once ranged into China during ancient times. The crocodile is known to be able to accurately sense changes in air pressure, and be able to sense coming rain. This may have been the origin of the dragon's mythical attributes in controlling the weather, especially the rain. The association with the crocodile is also supported by the view in ancient times that large crocodiles are a variety of dragon. For example, in the story of Xochu, about the life of a Jin dynasty warrior, he is said to have killed a dragon that infested the waters of his home village, which appears to have been a crocodile. Some scholars believe that the Chinese dragon form originated from totems of different tribes in China, as a merger of totems of various tribes consequential to tribal mergers. Legendary figures like Na-Wan Quarter and Fui are depicted as having snake bodies. Some scholars have noted that a myth arose that the first legendary emperor of China, Huangdi, used a snake for his coat of arms. According to the myth, every time he conquered another tribe, he incorporated his defeated enemy's emblem into his own, thus explains why the dragon appears to have features of various animals. Mythical creature. From its origins as totems or the stylized depiction of natural creatures, the Chinese dragon evolved to become a mythical animal. The Han Dynasty scholar Wang Fu recorded Chinese myths that long dragons had 9 anatomical resemblances. The people paint the dragon's shape with a horse's head and a snake's tail. Further, there are expressions as 3 joints and 9 resemblances, to wit, from head to shoulder, from shoulder to breast, from breast to tail. These are the joints. As to the 9 resemblances, they are the following: his antlers resemble those of a stag, his head that of a camel, his eyes those of a demon, his neck that of a snake, his belly that of a clam, his scales those of a carp, his claws those of an eagle, his soles those of a tiger, his ears those of a cow. Upon his head he has a thing like a broad eminence, called chimu. If a dragon has no chimu, he cannot ascend to the sky. Further sources give variant lists of the 9 animal resemblances. Sinologist Henri Dora copyright lists these characteristics of an authentic dragon: the antlers of a deer, the head of a crocodile, a demon's eyes, the neck of a snake, a tortoise's viscera, a hawk's claws, the palms of a tiger, a cow's ears. And it hears through its horns, its ears being deprived of all power of hearing. He notes that, others state it has a rabbit's eyes, a frog's belly, a carp's scales. The anatomy of other legendary creatures, including the chimera and manticore, is similarly amalgamated from fierce animals. Chinese dragons were considered to be physically concise. Of the 117 scales, 81 are of the yang essence while 36 are of the yin essence. Initially, the dragon was benevolent, wise and just, but the Buddhists introduced the concept of malevolent influence among some dragons. Just as water destroys, they said, so can some dragons destroy via floods, tidal waves and storms. They suggested that some of the worst floods were believed to have been the result of a mortal upsetting a dragon. Many pictures of oriental dragons show a flaming pearl under their chin. The pearl is associated with wealth, good luck, and prosperity. Chinese dragons are occasionally depicted with bat-like wings growing out of the front limbs, but most do not have wings, as their ability to fly are mystical and not seen as a result of their physical attributes. This description accords with the artistic depictions of the dragon down to the present day. The dragon has also acquired an almost unlimited range of supernatural powers. It is said to be able to disguise itself as a silkworm, or become as large as our entire universe. It can fly among the clouds or hide in water. It can form clouds, can turn into water, can change color as an ability to blend in with their surroundings, as an effective form of camouflage or glow in the dark. In many other countries, folk tales speak of the dragon having all the attributes of the other 11 creatures of the zodiac. This includes the whiskers of the rat, the face and horns of the ox, the claws and teeth of the tiger, the belly of the rabbit, the body of the snake, the legs of the horse, the beard of the goat, the wit of the monkey, the crest of the rooster, the ears of the dog and the snout of the pig. In some circles, it is considered bad luck to depict a dragon facing downwards, as it is seen as disrespectful to place a dragon in such manner that it cannot ascend to the sky. Also, depictions of dragons in tattoos are prevalent as they are symbols of strength and power, especially criminal organizations where dragons hold a meaning all on their own. As such, it is believed that one must be fierce and strong enough, hence earning the right to wear the dragon on his skin, lest his luck be consumed by the dragons. Ruler of weather and water. Chinese dragons are strongly associated with water in popular belief. They are believed to be the rulers of moving bodies of water, such as waterfalls, rivers, or seas. They can show themselves as water spouts. In this capacity as the rulers of water and weather, the dragon is more anthropomorphic in form, often depicted as a humanoid, dressed in a king's costume, but with a dragon head wearing a king's headdress. There are 4 major dragon kings, representing each of the 4 seas, the East Sea, the South Sea, the West Sea, and the North Sea. Because of this association, they are seen as in charge of water-related weather phenomena. In pre-modern times, many Chinese villages had temples dedicated to their local dragon king. In times of drought or flooding, it was customary for the local gentry and government officials to lead the community in offering sacrifices and conducting other religious rites to appease the dragon, either to ask for rain or a cessation thereof. The king of Wu Yu in the 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms period was often known as the Dragon King, or the Sea Dragon King, because of his extensive hydro-engineering schemes which tamed the sea. Symbol of imperial authority. According to Chinese legend, both Chinese primogenitors, the earliest emperors, Yandi and Huangdi, were closely related to Long. At the end of his reign, the first legendary emperor, Huangdi, was said to have been immortalized into a dragon that resembled his emblem, and descended to heaven. The other legendary emperor, Huangdi's brother, Yandi, was born by his mother's telepathy with a mythic dragon. Since the Chinese consider Huangdi and Yandi as their ancestors, they sometimes refer to themselves as the descendants of the dragon. This legend also contributed towards the use of the Chinese dragon as a symbol of imperial power. The dragon, especially yellow or golden dragons with 5 claws on each foot, was a symbol for the emperor in many Chinese dynasties. The imperial throne was called the Dragon Throne. During the late Qing dynasty, the dragon was even adopted as the national flag. The dragon is featured in the carvings on the steps of imperial palaces and tombs, such as the Forbidden City in Beijing. In some Chinese legends, an emperor might be born with a birthmark in the shape of a dragon. For example, one legend tells the tale of a peasant born with a dragon birthmark who eventually overthrows the existing dynasty and founds a new one. Another legend might tell of the prince in hiding from his enemies who is identified by his dragon birthmark. In contrast, the Empress of China was often identified with the fenghuang. Modern belief. In modern times, belief in the dragon appears to be sporadic at best. There appear to be very few who would see the dragon as a literally real creature. The worship of the dragon kings as rulers of water and weather continues in many areas, and is deeply ingrained in Chinese cultural traditions such as Chinese New Year celebrations. Depictions of the dragon. Neolithic depictions. Dragons or dragon-like depictions have been found extensively in Neolithic period archaeological sites throughout China. The earliest depiction of dragons was found at Xinglongwa culture sites. Yangshao culture sites in Xi'an have produced clay pots with dragon motifs. The Lanzhou culture also produced dragon-like patterns. The Hongshan culture sites in present-day Inner Mongolia produced jade dragon amulets in the form of pig dragons. One such early form was the pig dragon. It is a coiled, elongated creature with a head resembling a boar. The character for dragon in the earliest Chinese writing has a similar coiled form, as do later jade dragon amulets from the Shang period. Classical depictions. Chinese literature and myths refer to many dragons besides the famous Long. The linguist Michael Carr analyzed over 100 ancient dragon names attested in Chinese classic texts. Many such Chinese names derive from the suffix long, Tianlong, celestial dragon that guards heavenly palaces and pulls divine chariots. Also a name for the constellation Draco, Shenlong, thunder god that controls the weather, appearance of a human head, dragon's body, and drum-like stomach, fenghuang, underworld guardian of precious metals and jewels, associated with volcanoes, Dailong, controller of rivers and seas. Also a name for earthworm, Ainglo, winged dragon associated with rains and floods, used by Huangdi to kill Chi-Yu, Jiaolo, hornless or scaled dragon, leader of all aquatic animals, Panlong, lake dragon that has not ascended to heaven, Hunlong, hornless dragon symbolizing the emperor, Fialo, winged dragon that rides on clouds and mist. Also a name for pterosaur, Kenglo, the animal associated with the east in the Chinese four symbols, mythological creatures in the Chinese constellations, Kulong, contradictorily defined as both horned dragon and hornless dragon. Tsulong or Tsuyin was a giant red draconic solar deity in Chinese mythology. It supposedly had a human's face and snake's body, created day and night by opening and closing its eyes, and created seasonal winds by breathing. Qiaolong, a hornless dragon or mountain demon. Fewer Chinese dragon names derive from the prefix Long. Longwang, divine rulers of the four seas, Longma, emerged from the Luo River and revealed Barglade to Fuzai. Some additional Chinese dragons are not named with long e3/4, for instance, Hong, a two-headed dragon or rainbow serpent, Shen, a shape-shifting dragon or sea monster believed to create mirages, Ash was a giant python-like dragon that ate elephants. Teng or Tengsh is a flying dragon without legs. Chinese scholars have classified dragons in diverse systems. For instance, Emperor Huizong of Song canonized 5-colored dragons as kings. The azure dragon, Kulong e3/4 spirits, most compassionate kings. The vermilion dragon, Tsulong eo plus or minus e3/4 spirits, kings that bestow blessings on lakes. The yellow dragon, Honglong e florin e3/4 spirits, kings that favorably hear all petitions. The white dragon, Bailong C unregistered trademark 1/2 e3/4 spirits, virtuous and pure kings. The black dragon, Xuanlong C e3/4 spirits, kings dwelling in the depths of the mystic waters. With the addition of the yellow dragon of the center to azure dragon of the east, these vermilion, white, and black dragons coordinate with the four symbols, including the vermilion bird of the south, white tiger of the west, and black tortoise of the north. 9 Sons of the Dragon. Several Ming Dynasty texts list what were claimed as the 9 offspring of the dragon, and subsequently these feature prominently in popular Chinese stories and writings. The scholar Zai Caozi in his work Wu Zhu gives the following listing, as rendered by M. W. de Visser. A well-known work of the end of the 16th century, the Wu Zhu informs us about the 9 different young of the dragon, whose shapes are used as ornaments according to their nature. The Pilo E² C per mil cent, dragons which like to cry, are represented on the tops of bells, serving as handles. The Kuno ASHC per mil, which like music, are used to adorn musical instruments. The Chin E/Iya, which like swallowing, are placed on both ends of the ridgepoles of roofs. The Kaofeng²E, lion-like beasts which like precipices, are placed on the 4 corners of roofs. The Yazi CSHCOE/CSHCOEN, which like to kill, serve as ornaments of sword grips. The Xi A plus or minus, which have the shape of the Qiaolong e3/4, and are fond of literature, are represented on the sides of grave monuments. The Bian CCSH, which like litigation, are placed over prison gates. The Suoni Si Kush, which like to sit down, are represented upon the bases of Buddhist idols. The Baxia Yoa, finally, big tortoises which like to carry heavy objects, are placed under grave monuments. Further, the same author enumerates 9 other kinds of dragons, which are represented as ornaments of different objects or buildings according to their liking: prisons, water, the rank smell of newly caught fish or newly killed meat, wind and rain, ornaments, smoke, shutting the mouth, standing on steep places, and fire. The Xingweiji collection by the poet Yang Shen gives different 5th and 9th names for the dragon's 9 children, the Chorti, which loves to eat and is found on food-related wares, and the Giotu, which looks like a conch or clam, does not like to be disturbed, and is used on the front door or the doorstep. Yang's list is Bxi, Chin or Ka for Ng, below, Bayan, Chorti, Kunyu, Yazi, Suoni, and Jiotu. Oldest known attestation of the children of the dragon list is found in the Xuanziji by Lu Rong. However, he noted that the list enumerates mere synonyms of various antiques, not children of a dragon. The 9 sons of the dragon were commemorated by the Shanghai Mint in 2012's Year of the Dragon with 2 sets of coins, one in silver, and one in brass. Each coin in the sets depicts one of the 9 sons, including an additional coin for the father dragon, which depicts the 9 sons on the reverse. Dragon claws. The first Ming emperor copied the Yuan ruling and decreed that the dragon would be his emblem and that it would have 5 toes. The 4-clawed dragon was typically for imperial nobility and certain high-ranking officials. The 3-clawed dragon was used by lower ranks and the general public. The long, however, was only for select royalty closely associated with the imperial family, usually in various symbolic colors, while it was a capital offense for anyone other than the emperor himself to ever use the completely gold-colored, 5-clawed long dragon motif. Improper use of claw number and/or colors was considered treason, punishable by execution of the offender's entire clan. Since most East Asian nations at one point or another were considered Chinese tributaries, they were only allowed 4-clawed dragons. The 5 toes rule was first enforced in AD 1336. For commoners, it is forbidden to wear any cloth with patterns of klin, male fenghuang, white rabbit, lingzi, 5-toe 2-horn long, 8 longs, 9 longs, 10,000 years, fortune longevity character and golden yellow etc. Cultural references, number 9. The number 9 is special in China as it is the largest possible single digit, and Chinese dragons are frequently connected with it. For example, a Chinese dragon is normally described in terms of 9 attributes and usually has 117 scales, 81 yang and 36 yin. This is also why there are 9 forms of the dragon and there are 9 sons of the dragon. The 9-dragon wall is a spirit wall with images of 9 different dragons, and is found in imperial Chinese palaces and gardens. Because 9 was considered the number of the emperor, only the most senior officials were allowed to wear 9 dragons on their robes and then only with the robe completely covered with surcoats. Lower-ranking officials had 8 or 5 dragons on their robes, again covered with surcoats. Even the emperor himself wore his dragon robe with one of its 9 dragons hidden from view. There are a number of places in China called 9 dragons, the most famous being Kowloon in Hong Kong. The part of the Mekong in Vietnam is known as Ka Yu Long, with the same meaning. Chinese zodiac. The dragon is one of the 12 animals in the Chinese zodiac which is used to designate years in the Chinese calendar. It is thought that each animal is associated with certain personality traits. Dragon years are usually the most popular to have children. There are more people born in dragon years than in any other animal years of the zodiac. Constellations. The Azure Dragon, Qing Long, EE 3/4 is considered to be the primary of the 4 celestial guardians, the other 3 being the Tsuke, EO ± E Euro, by Hu, C unregistered trademark 1/2 E unregistered trademark, Xuan Wu, C. In this context, the Azure Dragon is associated with the east and the element of wood. Dragon boat racing, main article dragon boat, at special festivals, especially the Duanwu Festival, dragon boat races are an important part of festivities. Typically, these are boats paddled by a team of up to 20 paddlers with a drummer and steersman. The boats have a carved dragon as the head and tail of the boat. Dragon boat racing is also an important part of celebrations outside of China, such as at Chinese New Year. Dragon dancing, main article dragon dance, on auspicious occasions, including Chinese New Year and the opening of shops and residences, festivities often include dancing with dragon puppets. These are life-sized cloth and wood puppets manipulated by a team of people, supporting the dragon with poles. They perform choreographed moves to the accompaniment of drums, drama, and music. They also wore good clothing made of silk, dragons and nagas. In many Buddhist countries, the concept of the Naga has been merged with local traditions of great and wise serpents or dragons, as depicted in this stairway image of a multi-headed Naga emerging from the mouth of a Makara in the style of a Chinese dragon at Framaha Chidi Chai Mongkol on the premises of Wat Phernamthip Thep Prasit Vararam in Thailand's Roye Province Nong Phok district. Dragons and tigers. The tiger is considered to be the eternal rival to the dragon, thus various artworks depict a dragon and tiger fighting an epic battle. A well-used Chinese idiom to describe equal rivals is dragon versus tiger. In Chinese martial arts, dragon style is used to describe styles of fighting based more on understanding movement, while tiger style is based on brute strength and memorization of techniques. Chinese dragons in popular culture. As a part of traditional folklore, dragons appear in a variety of mythological fiction. In the classical story Journey to the West, the son of the Dragon King of the West was condemned to serve as a horse for the travelers because of his indiscretions at a party in the heavenly court. The Monkey King's cudgel Raya Ba Ng was robbed from the Eastern Dragon King Ao Gai Kenji. In Fenghuang and other stories, Nizha, the boy hero, defeats the Dragon Kings and tames the seas. Chinese dragons also appear in innumerable Japanese anime movies and TV shows, manga, and in Western political cartoons as a personification of the People's Republic of China. The Chinese respect for dragons is emphasized in Naomi Novik's Temrara novels, where they were the first people to tame dragons and are treated as equals, intellectuals or even royalty, rather than beasts solely bred for war in the West. King Ghidorah from the Godzilla franchise is a three-headed arm-mustacheless Chinese dragon who acts as Godzilla's toughest foe. Manda is a large Chinese dragon that appears in the Godzilla storyline. A paper Chinese dragon arrived on the island of Soda for a carnival festival in a Season 3 episode of Thomas and Friends. Thomas the Tank Engine's friend, Percy was frightened when it turned up to him twice. A golden three-headed dragon also appears in the comic book series God is Dead. See also. References. External links, E3 unregistered trademark E-pound. AA, E, E3/4 unregistered trademark R to the first E, a 1/2 R to the first, ISBN A7-80663-551-3 Dragon articles, Crystal Dragon of Taiwan, .org. Dragons in Ancient China, China the Beautiful, Chinapage.com, Eastern Dragon Overview, The Circle of the Dragon, blackdrago.com, Forbidden City Dragon Wall Panography, world-heritage-tour.org, The Chinese Dragon, everythingdragons.com, E3/4 unregistered trademark CYA to the first The Dragon's Nine Children. JSDJ.com, Nine Sons of the Dragon.